We are live in 3, 2, 1.
Our victim advocates, their sole responsibility is to be there to advocate for that person.
As sexual assault increases, Utah County provides resources for victims.
We found that the time spent on social media does not impact depression or anxiety.
An 8-year study shows that the amounts of time spent on social media does not affect mental health.
If you Google the question, is alcohol a drug? This is what it says. Alcohol is a drug.
Breweries may be coming to Provo, and some former city council members are voicing their concerns. Welcome to Newsline. It's Tuesday, February 25th. I'm Emma Benson.
And I'm Sierra Phipps. Former city council members are leading the way to reverse the recent decision to allow breweries in Provo.
Newsline reporter Sierra Isasaga tells us why and how this reversal might happen.
Brew pubs coming to Provo causes concerns for many reasons: the health of those living in Provo, the Christian community's morals and culture, and the influence it may have on the young people in the city. A former member of the City Council, Cindy Richards, said her view at the meeting a week ago.
If you Google the question, is alcohol a drug? This is what it says. Alcohol is a drug.
Former City Council members agree with Richards' opposition of breweries coming to Provo. They feel so strongly against it that they put a referendum together and submitted it to the board. They'll need 6,202 signatures out of the 41,346 registered voters in Utah just to put it on the agenda this November. It's only about a total of 15% of voters to get on the ballot, but the way things are looking...
I think the biggest thing is that people are worried it will change the culture, right? They're worried it will create something that, I guess, alters the overall perspective that we have in Provo and the idea of how we relate with BYU and the organizations that are here. So, in my opinion, it's fine.
So, if we really want to have a conversation about health and safety, let's talk about how many different places I can call or go online and order cookies to my house in the middle of the night.
I do think if you want a diverse perspective, then allowing breweries is going to attract more people to Provo.
The idea that, like, my way is the only way, and I can't accept you, and in fact I don't want you in my city. I don't want you in my life, in my city.
Getting those signatures won't be easy. Reporting for Newsline in Provo, I'm Sierra Isasaga.
One person is dead and multiple people were taken to the hospital after a rollover crash early this morning. Around 8 a.m., officers responded to the rollover crash that happened near the Salt Lake City airport. The name of the deceased person has not been identified yet. The condition of the remaining people in the vehicle have also not been revealed. Roads are expected to be closed for several hours as the Salt Lake City Police continues to investigate. The Utah County Attorney is speaking out after the murder conviction of Megan Grunwald was overturned by the Utah Supreme Court. Megan Grunwald was convicted in 2015 for the first-degree aggravated murder of Officer Corey Ride, among other charges. Her punishment was 30 years to life in prison, but the rulings have now been overturned. Utah County Attorney David O. Levitt was assigned to the Grunwald case. Levitt says his office is reviewing the opinion of the Utah Supreme Court. He says, quote, "My decision will not be reactive. It will not be pressured or bullied or based on emotion. We will do our parts in this process to address fairness and balance the rights for the victims and the accused. I believe that's what residents of Utah County expect."
A third man is arrested for his involvement in an alleged hate crime against a black LDS missionary. 19-year-old Nathan Thomas was charged with assault along with 2 brothers who were involved in the attack. According to police records, 2 missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints went to visit a family when a group of men began to threaten them and shout racial slurs at one of the missionaries, who is black. The men then allegedly tackled, punched, and kicked the missionary, leaving him with injuries to the head, face, and ribs. The Duchesne County Sheriff's Office is asking for help with the ongoing search for the 3 teens who ran away from a residential treatment center near Roosevelt. All 3 teens are residents of Cedar Ridge Academy and were last seen yesterday. They are looking for 14-year-old Leah Douglas, 16-year-old Nicole Thornton, and 16-year-old Sitara Chavez. Anyone who sees or has contact with these teens should call the Duchesne County Sheriff's Office.
Data from Utah Commission on Criminal and Juvenile Justice shows that 1 in 3 Utah women will experience some form of sexual assault, and 1 in 6 Utah women will experience rape. NewsLine reporter Bon Lee is live in Utah County. Bon, these are some disturbing statistics.
Yes, they are. And another unsettling fact, Utah ranked 11 out of 50 states for the most forcible rape rate in 2018.
People usually don't think that they're going to be survivors of rape or sexual assault, and Michaela Bond is one of them.
It was pretty hard to be like a victim or like a survivor of that particular circumstance, especially in Provo, Utah. The culture tends to shame people for sex, and when sex happens against your will, you feel even more shameful and out of control.
Instead of reaching out to the public resources available, Bonds decided to overcome this the unconventional way.
Honestly, my number one resource, even to this day, is having an ally or like a friend who understands what you've been through, maybe because they've been through something similar.
For those who have a hard time finding friends they can talk to, there are state-funded resources they can turn to. The Sexual Assault Services Director Lori Jenkins from the Center for Women and Children in Crisis said that there are volunteers willing to provide support at all times.
Victims advocates go out to the hospital. They're on call 24/7. They each take a 24-hour shift. And then if someone who has been sexually assaulted or raped, it can show up at any emergency room.
When the rape crisis team goes to the hospital to meet with the survivors, they bring a bag full of supplies for comfort. It contains blankets, clothes, snacks, and other resources survivors can reach out to. The center forum is looking for clothing donations.
The Center for Women and Children in Crisis hotline is one of the numerous resources offered for the rape victims. You can call 801-377-5500 to learn all about all the resources available. Back to you.
Thanks, Bon.
Today is the last day Utahns can request mail-in ballots for Super Tuesday. With 1 week away, voters in the Beehive State will have a chance to cast their ballots for the Democratic primary election on March 3rd. If you miss the deadline, you can still vote in person at the polls. The Democratic primary is open to any voter. You do not need to register as a Democrat to vote in their primary. The Utah Department of Health will start accepting applications for medical cannabis on Sunday, and it will be available for purchase on Monday. In order to obtain medical marijuana, patients must visit a doctor who is registered by UDOH. For patients over 21 who qualify, the application process will be done in 15 days or less. For those under 21, the process will take 90 days or less. There is a $15 online application fee. For more information, go to medicalcannabis.utah.gov.
As several pieces of abortion-related legislation move through the House and Senate, a new poll shows that many Utahns may be opposed to stricter abortion laws. The poll commissioned by the Alliance for a Better Utah and the Utah branches of Planned Parenthood and the ACLU says that 70% of Utahns support either loosening Utah's current abortion laws or leaving them the same. That number increased to 80% if the respondents were first told about Utah's current abortion laws. A House committee voted unanimously in favor of SB 102, which would lower the penalty for bigamy. The proposal changes the charges from a felony to an infraction. It also modifies the list of crimes that, when committed in conjunction with bigamy, are a second-degree felony. The numbered bill was publicly distributed February 4th and will now be considered by the full House. 3 gun bills are rejected by the Utah House of Representatives. HB 109, which aimed for universal background checks for all firearm sales in Utah, was tabled. HB 115 is another form of last year's failed Lauren's Law, inspired by University of Utah student Lauren McCluskey. It would have provided a cause of action for negligent entrustment of a firearm. It failed with a 3-7 vote. HB 136 was unanimously voted down. It would have made irresponsible storage of a firearm a criminal offense if a child or legally restricted person obtained the firearm and hurt someone.
It is estimated that the average person spends about 2.5 hours on social media each day. NewsLine reporter Lauren is in the newsroom. Lauren, how does that time spent affect mental health?
after attending a junior high parents' night for her child where the presenter claimed social media was, quote, destroying kids and of the devil, Coyne decided to take matters into her own hands to discover the truth. The results? Not what Coyne expected.
Which was surprising, or it went against our hypotheses, because what you hear from news media is that social media is kind of responsible for this big mental health crisis we're having.
8 years were spent tracking over 500 young adults' social media habits and mental health through yearly questionnaires.
So you could take two individuals, they both spend an hour on social media. You know, person A has a great experience. They feel good afterwards, they're really connecting, so they feel better about themselves. Person B has a terrible experience, they're being cyberbullied, they're disconnecting, right? They're feeling lonely, terrible experience.
Coyne recommends empowering people to use social media in a healthy and productive way, like BYU student Kayla Fagan.
I've taken so many classes at BYU to make me more media literate and aware of what I'm seeing and why I'm seeing it. So I feel like that's mainly the reason why it doesn't have that much effect on me.
Coyne and colleagues are now using their research to further study if suicide is related to their findings. Back to you.
Thanks, Lauren.
Salt Lake City police officers are visiting elementary schools to read to children. Check out this heartwarming video.
Officer responding. Go, Carl, go.
Salt Lake City police officers teamed up with an initiative called Fight Crime, Invest in Kids to encourage early reading for children. Police Chief Mike Brown says that 40% of prisoners lack a high school education. The police also donated books and are hosting a book drive for students. They hope that the book drive will inspire kids to read and invest in education.
The victims of Harvey Weinstein have spoken out following his conviction.
Harvey Weinstein is exactly where he should be now, behind bars.
We'll show you more of their reactions.
And this is actually the sort of trap that I use here. I'll put a starling or some bait bird in the middle of it, and the bird will come in and get its feet caught in there.
A man gets in touch with his wild side through a fun and feathery hobby.
Move over, Super Tuesday. Mardi Gras is here and it's the fattest Tuesday of 2020. We'll take you through some of the celebrations.
With spring right around the corner, find out where it's warming up in my weather report.
Where's Tommy?
I thought he was with you.
No.
Jack.
Tommy?
Go get him.
Don't stop. Keep playing. Here we go. Here's the fun part.
Did you do this?
Great job.
Encouragement. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak has died. Mubarak served as president from 1981 until 2011 when he stepped down in response to protests. Later, a Cairo court gave him a life sentence for his role in the deaths of protesters just before his resignation. He was ultimately acquitted and his sentence was reversed, setting Mubarak free. He was 91.
An emotional and joyful celebration of life was held at the Staples Center for Lakers legend Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna.
When Kobe Bryant died,
a piece of me died.
More than 20,000 fans, friends, and family gathered to say goodbye to one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Musical performances and remarks were given by various guests. Vanessa Bryant is suing the helicopter company that was responsible for the deaths of her husband and daughter. No financial figures were disclosed, but the lawsuit is seeking general, economic, and punitive damages.
Harvey Weinstein has been convicted on rape and criminal sex charges in New York.
Whitney Wild is in New York with the latest.
Harvey Weinstein is exactly where he should be now, behind bars.
Harvey Weinstein, now New York State inmate number 065811138Z, in one of the country's most notorious correctional facilities, Rikers Island. Jurors found the former Hollywood powerhouse guilty of committing a criminal sexual act in the first degree involving one woman and a rape in the third degree involving another woman.
While he's been convicted, we can't undo the harm that he has caused to so many victims.
Weinstein accuser Ashley Judd tweeted, "For the women who testified in this case and walked through traumatic hell, you did a public service to girls and women everywhere." Rosanna Arquette, another of the more than 80 women accusing Weinstein of sexual misconduct, tweeted, "Gratitude to the brave women who've testified and to the jury for seeing through the dirty tactics of the defense." Weinstein, who was acquitted of the more serious charges of predatory sexual assault and first-degree rape, is set to be sentenced March 11th. His attorneys say they plan to appeal.
I look at the contents of the emails and the communications and, all of the things surrounding what these women claim happened to them, and it's just very hard for me to reconcile.
I'm Whitney Wild reporting.
Festivities and floats have flooded the streets in New Orleans. Alessandra Harris has more on the celebration happening today. Alessandra?
It's Mardi Gras and the festivities have already begun.
Imagine how much people look forward to the parade every year and how much people look forward to Mardi Gras, and you want to make it worth their while.
Directors and designers of the Mardi Gras Parade have been preparing for months to put on an entertaining show that will meet the expectations of the thousands of people who have lined up to watch. The spirit of the Mardi Gras Parade has filled the hearts and feeds of many Twitter users. User Sybil Martin posted, "I said I was all paraded out, but my family might disown me if I missed." And user Felicia Combs posted a video of her at the parade saying Mardi Gras has made her love New Orleans even more. More apparent than the parade videos are the images of king cakes and deep-fried panoshki that have flooded the internet. There are literally thousands of tweets of donuts and sweet treats of those ready to eat their rich, fatty foods before their feast for the Lenten season. Because Mardi Gras means Fat Tuesday in French, many Twitter users have taken advantage of the nickname to post witty posts. Twitter user Amanda Curran said that, "Remember, every Tuesday can be a Fat Tuesday if you try hard enough." And this user posted a meme that says, "Happy Fat Tuesday to someone who is already fat on Monday." For those looking forward to taking advantage of the fat-filled party-heavy day, be prepared for a strong sugar hangover tomorrow.
Wild animal training may not be as easy as it looks. NewsLine reporter Ashley Pasley met with a local man who makes wild animal training seem more glorious and easy. Ashley, what did you find out?
I'm in Cedar Valley, here with my good friend Starlord, and I'm learning more about the ancient art of falconry. Shane Clark started training hawks and falcons 52 years ago. But how did he turn a wild bird into a pet?
There are a few ways to get a falcon. First of all, you have to be licensed, you have to pass a test, you have to have all this information. Triggerback here is a bird that I trapped from the wild. And this is actually the sort of trap that I use here. I'll put a starling or some bait bird in the middle of it, and the bird will come in and get its feet caught in there.
Once he catches the bird, he starts training it and developing trust.
Once it develops enough trust to eat on my fist, and then I have it jump from the perch maybe to my hand to get a little piece of meat, and then I extend that so it's pretty soon it's flying across the yard on a long leash. And then when it's doing that often enough, then I'll take it out to a big open area like this, and then I'll fly it free for the first time.
However, falconry is not as easy as Clark makes it look.
I would say the most difficult part is dealing with the uncertainties. You never know what's going to happen. Someday you'll fly and everything goes great. Other days you'll fly, A wild prairie falcon might come in and chase them away. All that's pretty challenging, and you have to accept that.
Clark spends on average 2 hours a day working with the falcons.
Falconry does take a balance. One guy described falconry as not just a passion, but a rage. And you can be very obsessed with it.
Clark says the biggest challenge comes in learning to react to the individual personalities of each bird. Reporting with NewsLine, I'm Ashley Pasley.
A family of 5 tried to cross a creek last night during a flash flood in Phoenix, Arizona, and were met by raging waters. Thankfully, people from Arizona 4x4 Off-Road Recovery were nearby and saw the vehicle's headlights dip under the water. They sprang into action to prevent the vehicle from flipping over and spilling out the family. Estimates say the creek was flowing at between 1,200 and 1,500 cubic feet of water per second when the rescue was made. Onto our radar here in Utah, we see a sunrise from the Wasatch Valley, and it's just a glimpse at all of the sun we're seeing across Utah today and for the rest of the week. Speaking of that sun, let's go into our highs and lows of today. At 32 in northern Utah at Logan, for 40 at Provo and Salt Lake, and down at St. George at 54. At Logan for the lows, we have 12, Salt Lake at 23, and St. George at 31. For our 5-day forecast in southern Utah, we see sunny skies and highs coming up to the high 60s with some cloud coverage on Friday and Saturday and chances of rain on Sunday. For our lows, we start in the mid-30s and then go up to the mid-40s and back down to the 40s. On to our 5-day forecast in northern Utah, we will also be seeing some sun, and we will get some highs at the mid-40s ranging up to the high 50s on Saturday and dipping down kind of like southern Utah with chances of rain on Sunday, and lows in the low 30s going up to the high 30s and low 40s. So for the rest of this week, know that we will be having some more sun, so it'll be nice to go out, and we'll be right back.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere, and just growing up the way I grew up and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
For the third time in his career, Yoli Childs has been named the WCC Men's Basketball Player of the Week.
Connor will drive it, stop in the post, hand off to Yo! And the two-hand hammer!
In last week's victories against Santa Clara and Gonzaga, Childs averaged 25 points and shot 51% from the field. With his 28 points and 10 rebounds against Gonzaga on Saturday, Childs helped the Cougars defeat the #2 team in the country for the first time since 1965. BYU men's volleyball continues to dominate both on the court and with weekly awards, as Miki Yahihainen was named the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation Defensive Player of the Week. Yahihainen leads BYU with a total of 52 blocks and averaged 2 blocks per set in BYU's sweeps against Concordia and USC last week. This is the 5th time a player has received the MPSF Defensive Player of the Week this year, and the Cougars have collected 8 of the 16 weekly honors so far this season. #2 BYU women's track and field has earned its highest national ranking since 2012. The team has had many historic performances this season, including All-American Whitney Orton, who broke her 3rd individual school record of the season. The Cougars will be back in action this Friday at the MPSF Championships at the University of Washington. The Jazz had an embarrassing performance against the Phoenix Suns last night at home, losing 131 to 111.
This is just, like I said, it's just embarrassing. It's not who we are, it's not who we've been.
Former Jazz player Ricky Rubio returned to his first game back in Salt Lake City and helped the Suns in their victory with 22 points and 11 assists. Following the Jazz 3-game losing streak, the team is struggling to find their defensive identity. The Jazz will host the Boston Celtics tomorrow evening at 8:30. Oregon women's basketball guard Sabrina Ionescu made NCAA history as the first player in D1 history
male or female, to get 2,000 points, 1,000 assists, and 1,000 rebounds.
Here's Hannah Jump, three-point specialist. And there is Sabrina Ionescu with the rebound.
Just hours after speaking at Kobe and Gianna Bryant's memorial, Ionescu showed her mama mentality by getting the record with her 9th rebound. The date for her to achieve this was also significant, as it was 2-24-20, the numbers of Gianna, Kobe, and herself. Following the game, Ionescu said it was for Kobe, that she had talked with him in the preseason about it, and that he was looking down, really proud of her. That's all for sports. We'll be right back.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
NASA releases a 3D video of the far side of the moon.
The video comes from the Lunar Renaissance Orbiter spacecraft. The spacecraft took a trip around the moon and sent data from a perspective similar to what Apollo 13 astronauts would have seen. NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center took the data and recreated what a trip around the moon and back would look like. The video shows a detailed resolution of the moon's surface, a sunset, and an Earthset. The full video and more information are available on NASA's website. Thanks for joining us today for Newsline.
For more information on our stories or to share them with your friends, check out our website at universe.byu.edu/newsline.
Have a great day.